Okay.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good evening.
We're back in the hide.
We are. Our favourite place.
Yes. We've got birds and we've got some owl to look at. We're going to be chatting a bit of owl tonight.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of tawny owls.
Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that adorable little one that was on just before us. Yeah, I'm going to play a quick intro just so everyone can see where we're at. And yeah, enjoy.
Hello, my name's Natalie and I'm a wildlife camerawoman. I love filming wildlife and I love cameras. Years ago, I used to work in live TV, and so recently I've been playing around with combining both of those techie skills through live streaming whilst I film nature. This weekend, though, I'm visiting Wildlife Kate, who has an incredible wild home filled with live camera streams and some amazing places to watch wildlife. So here we are, watching nature, chatting nature, and live streaming together. Enjoy!
Hello.
Hello again.
That was nice.
It was lovely. A nice, lovely summary of our last few days we've had together, which has been super, really super.
It was lovely to see how much we've done, and there was a few sneak peeks of what's to come tonight as well in there. So
yeah, it's been fabulous.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Oh, good. So yeah, tonight we're talking owls, and you've got some live owl currently.
I do. I have a tawny owl with an owlet who we've called Artemis, who's in our Worcester site. So there's Artemis, looking pretty spectacular now, really gaining strength, standing up now, beginning to get his feathers through.
He's so
And
fluffy.
yeah, and the female, although she's with him most of the time, she's actually up. She often sits up at the entrance to the box, so sometimes you can't quite see her. But she doesn't leave the owlet for very long. We don't know if it's male or female at the moment. I'm saying he, but
Could be a she.
Could be a she as well. So yeah, looking great, and you can watch that camera live on my website as well.
So we're at Gwyllt Hollow.
Yeah.
I'll show you where we are. Let me just spin you around there. Give me 2 seconds. That's my face. And so we're in the hide at the moment. So we're watching the birds. And there's a little robin live for you. Fantastic. I'll give you my face again. And you've got a few nest boxes kind of pre-built here already, but this year's been a bit of an experiment, I understand.
Yeah, I've got lots of sort of standard nest boxes that I've built myself with cameras and lighting and everything, but I've really tried to focus on having habitat for tawny owls this year, and it takes them a couple of years from when you first put the box up often to decide to nest in it, and I've been really focusing on them, and it's been quite a journey.
It's been an adventure. I'm going to give you a summary of the adventure. She's called Serens. And this has been the story of Seren from this spring.
So Seren is a female tawny owl who has chosen my land to be her territory along with her mate. And I heard them from when I first moved in here nearly 3 years ago. So when I first moved in here, very quickly, having looked at the land, thought it was a good place for tawny owls. And not long after that, I started hearing them call, both male and female. So one of the first projects I did here was to get a box up that was going to be suitable for them to nest in. And having filmed tawny owls on a different site for many, many years, I knew it might take them a couple of years to feel comfortable with the boxes, so I wanted to get them up as soon as possible. So I started with a pre-made box. So that's a box actually designed for barn owls, made out of recycled plastic, and I adapted it to my needs and put it up in a tree in a little wooded copse. But unfortunately we had very big storms, and the following spring that tree came down with the box on it. But miraculously the box and the camera survived. So I moved that box to a different area and then thought about possibly building one of my own, but that takes forever. So I knew this was going to be a good place because we're high above my quarry. Tawny owls like a really nice clear fly-in. We're surrounded by trees, perfect habitat. So I had really good feeling about this. And in fact, by the time it was up, it was only a relatively short period before, I think it was the male came in first and started calling. And I knew they were interested. At that point, they started regularly visiting the box from the outside. They take quite a long time to go into a box. They do a lot of sitting outside talking about it. But then they regularly started going in and out, and I thought, wow, this is going to be it. They're actually going to breed in here. Unfortunately, despite the in and out all the time, and a lot of very promising behaviour, which is when they do what we call paddling. It's when they rest down on their chest and they kick with their legs to test the substrate. I put a deep substrate of wood chip and leaves in the base to mimic the inside of a tree hollow. She decided she liked one of the other boxes instead and went back to the original box that had fallen down on the tree that I'd re-put up onto an oak tree. Fairly quickly I realised that Seren had chosen her space, and with lots of paddling inside and the promising behaviour, the male started bringing food to her at the box, which is a sign that they've made their decision. Eventually she laid her eggs, and I was so excited when she started incubating. So I thought, right, done it, got my tawny owls. And incubation is 30 days, so it's a long time for those owls to sit in there. Male was in and out, loads of food, it was all looking promising. And then we reached just before the 30 days and one of the eggs broke. And it was very clear it hadn't developed. It was because she was really, they get really sticky obviously if an egg breaks and you're incubating. And over the next few days all those eggs broke and none of them were fertile. So at that point she abandoned the nest, and I thought that was it. Amazingly, that wasn't the end of the story. Seren was determined to breed, and by now we're into March. Normally the eggs would be hatching at the end of March. And after a 2-week period of appearing at one of my new boxes, a box I'd put up for barn owls actually, having seen barn owls visit the box here in the quarry, I built another box and put it in a different location, thinking, well, maybe the barn owls will find that. Well, Seren found that. after much deliberation, she decided she would attempt to breed again. So it would be a really late brood. And I was amazed to see her lay another 3 eggs. But tragically, this story didn't end well. Having just laid the 3rd egg, she started incubating. And I'd actually gone away for the weekend, and I can access all my cameras remotely. So I logged in on the morning to check how she was doing, and the 3 eggs were just sitting in the box and she wasn't there. And when I played back the footage, I was horrified to see that in the early hours of the morning, a cat had climbed up the tree and gone into the box. Thankfully, she heard it coming and escaped, but she abandoned the nest. So those 3 eggs just sat there, and I was absolutely gutted.
Oh man, that's such a shame.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
And you can imagine there's one thing, you know, them just lose eggs due to infertility, but to lose them to a predator, whatever the predator. And to be honest, it could have been polecat, stoat,
could have been anything.
It could be anything. And in a way, I was just glad she'd got out safely. I was glad we hadn't already got owlets. And you live and learn. You know, I will adapt the whole environment now to make sure that can never happen again. And I'm fingers crossed they'll come back next year and try again. But it's another whole year I have to wait. So you can imagine when you put all that work in.
Yeah, and you had like several attempts as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely heartbreaking, to be honest. But these things happen, sadly, and you just have to learn from the experience and move on and adapt.
We'd actually timed this in the hope that we'd have some branching owlets.
Yeah, because Natalie and I spoke about this when she was in that first box incubating. So we thought, well, if we did the live streams now, it would have been when those that first set that were infertile would have branched. But we'll just have to go again next year, won't we?
Yeah, that's it. But what I can do is show you some branching owlets and what that actually looks like, because what happens when what is branching? Tell me that.
Yeah, well, normally, most people will be familiar with the expression fledging. So when the youngsters inside a nest box, for example, or anywhere they're breeding, have grown all their feathers and they're ready to face the outside world, they'll one at a time sort of venture out and then usually carry on being fed by the parents for quite a while before they sort of start feeding themselves. But tawny owls are a little bit different, because they, rather than fledge when they're completely ready to go, they fledge when they're semi-ready to go. So as their feathers come through, they grow the primary and secondary wing feathers much more quickly than the rest of them. So they still look fairly fluffy and like they shouldn't be out in the big wide world. But actually they'll clamber out of the box when they're still quite young, but actually they can fly, not very well. But they use their beak and their talons. They can climb up trees. So they come out of that hollow, usually because it would be quite cramped at that stage, and they clamber using their beak holding on and then their feet going up into the tree, and then they'll find a little nook and they'll settle down there and they'll sit dead still all day, and the adults will be around.
Yeah.
So people often find them on the ground because they quite often fall, but they're so light that they're generally unhurt. But people find them thinking that
don't touch them.
They're way too young, and the adults will be around. So just leave them unless they're in a space that you feel is really dangerous. In which case, scoop them up with your coat or gloves or something and just pop them up in a tree, and the adults will be back.
I mean, what you don't want is mum tawny owl coming at you, because those talons are really sharp. Quite often say to people, if you were the same, if you see one, maybe leave it, because mum will.
And they usually encourage them. But if it's an area where there's, they get attacked by dogs, or if it's an area where there's a lot of, dog walking and footfall, then assess the area. But they are ready to go, and if you look around, you'll be able to probably see the adults up in the tree. And then they carry on feeding them for a long time. We're talking months. They'll bring them food gradually as they learn how to hunt themselves. But they are the most adorable things when they come out.
A lot of people will be spotting them now. I know in a lot of the places that I visit, a lot of owlets are starting to get spotted, and our feeds are kind of full of them. So.
Yeah, it's prime tawny owlet, and generally it seems to have been a really good year.
Yeah.
For them, some really nice big broods.
So if you are out walking, this is what you're looking for: the most adorable balls of fluff. How adorable are those?
They are absolutely amazing, and they make the most amazing calls. So they generally sit pretty still during the day, and they're surprisingly hard to spot unless you know where they are.
Unless you know what you're looking for as well.
Yeah. But soon as the light fades, they need to be able to tell the adults where they are, and they do this really funny, like creaky gate squeak.
Oh.
And then the adults know where they are, so the adults will hunt and then bring the food back to them in the trees. And if you've got more than one, they often sit in a line. It's really funny. Oh. It's absolutely lovely. And as each day goes past, they get a little more confident about moving about in the trees.
Yeah.
And then, within a couple of days, they're doing small flights between one tree and another. And then they're off. And sometimes, certainly, I've got cameras on the outside of my boxes, and sometimes they branch out into the trees, and then a week later they're back on the platform and say, actually, we're going to stay here. And then I get lovely footage of them being fed on the platform as well. And then they'll hang around the area till sort of late summer when they're just about fully ready to go, and then the parents will sort of chase them out of the territory then, because they need to go and find their own place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an absolute wonderful cycle, and I've been filming tawny owls in the same box in Worcestershire for the last 9 years.
And that's where our little Artemis.
Yeah, that's where Artemis is at present. But I mean, there's a story linked in with that one as well, because the first set of eggs she laid were also infertile. Oh. But broke very early on, and we weren't sure why that was, or whether there was something wrong with her. But she left the box having had them break, and then checked out some of the other boxes. We've got another owl box, and actually we've got a jackdaw box.
Yeah.
And the jackdaw box is tiny, like a quarter of the size of that one. And she had a look in that and then went back to the original box. And there you can see there's still an egg in there. She, in fact, laid 3 eggs. 2 didn't hatch. 1 has broken since then. But thank goodness little Artemis hatched.
He's got a lot of lunch there as well.
Yeah. There's always a fair stash of food in there. They bring in all sorts of prey. A lot of rats, mice, voles, birds, frogs, all sorts. So he's doing very well as a single owlet. Of course, he's got no competition, but he's got no pals either. So he's just often in there with an egg and a dead rat for company.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will be loving life as he's a little bit older and ridiculously strong as an independent owl.
Yeah, so you can watch this camera live streams on my website. So you can watch it at www.wildlifekate.co.uk.
I can put that on screen. Can I put that on screen?
No, you haven't put it on there this time.
It's normally
Never
on
mind.
there.
So you can go on my website and watch it there. And there's also a camera on the outside. So in a couple of weeks, this little chap or chapess will be venturing out onto the platform. And because I've built a really big platform on the outside with a big natural branch, they spend, hopefully, you can't always determine what they're going to do because they're all different characters. But generally, they sit around on that platform and get fed from there for a while, so it makes really good viewing.
Nice.
But that first time they scramble up to the entrance hole and they look out and there's like a whole world outside that box that they've sat in for like nearly a month.
I quite often watch them in nests kind of head up and down. What's going on?
They do a lot of like side head and dipping while they sort of get used to looking out. And a lot of in the box reaching out for things with their talons and doing like little jumps.
Yeah.
And which are all those skills they're going to need when they're out in the wild.
Beautiful. Well, if you're interested in how to make an owl box, I mean, yours are pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, I sort of go for it in a big way.
Well, we've got a little show and tell of how you've made one of your owl box. Which one is it?
Yeah, so this is the quarry box.
Yeah,
isn't it?
So check out this one. Please do note how high it is. It's amazing.
Okay, this is my new tawny box that I've made, and this is going to go up in the quarry. So I thought I would show you it before we put it up because it's going to be a lot harder to film once it's up. So I've made this out of marine ply, and I'll just go through some of the features that I've designed, hopefully to get the kind of camera angle I want, both inside and outside. You can see I've got a big arm coming out here. What I want to be able to do is to film the tawnies when they hopefully visit, and to be able to zoom in on this rather nice hollow tree trunk that I found for the entrance. So the camera is set up to be able to film them going in and out here. And you can see as well, I've put an external branch on. I think that's really important because the owls, when they want to investigate a hole, particularly for the first time, they like to be able to land a little further away. And also this will give the opportunity for them to perch outside before they enter. And also, if we do get owlets, somewhere for them to come out onto before they venture into the real world. In fact, where we're putting it, there are several other branches as well. So there's going to be plenty of branching opportunity. So we've got entrance here, camera on the outside, and on this side, on the other side round here, this is where the internal camera is and all the bits I need for this to operate. So that will all be loaded up, wired in once it's in situ. So let's have a look inside the box and see what I've done. So take the lid off. So you can see in here, that's where the camera is, and it's a little PTZ, so it can move and pan and tilt and zoom, so it can move around inside this. And then here that we have 2 lights, and they work on a sensor, so when it's daylight they'll come on, and when it's nighttime they'll go off. And you can see I've got lots of stuff stuck all the way around the edge of this box.
because basically the camera angle I want to look as natural as possible. So you can see I've basically put sticks, bits of wood, and then the base of this box will be lined as well. So there'll be plenty of substrate in, because tawny owls like quite a thick substrate in which to make a hollow in order to nest. So hopefully this is going to look really good on camera. I've already had it all loaded up. I've already had it wired up, so I know exactly what it's going to look like. And the secret is to get all of this done while you're on the ground, because you don't want to be faffing around when you're up a tree. Okay, so now I'm going to put in the external camera, and I've already put the brackets in to make it a bit easier when I'm up here, up the tree. So I'm going to move that out into place, hopefully, like that. So I've preset all of this whilst on the ground so that it's relatively easy when you're up a tree. Right, just got to screw that into place now, and then wire up the internal camera. Okay, so now the box is up, I need to cable it in, which means running some Cat5 cable from the box back to my switch. So I've got to wire this up now with cold hands so that we can get it all working back in my office. Okay, so last bit, let's put the lid on.
Big thank you to cameraman Jerry. Thank you. He's a friend of both of us. So, yeah, nice to have that little connection.
Yeah, it's much easier to film my projects when there's somebody else here than trying to do all of that whilst holding the camera. It makes a huge amount of difference when somebody else is holding the camera, and it is nice for people who follow me and follow these stories to see what happens in the background, because it's a big project.
Thing,
you know, it
yeah.
took me a long time to make that, design it, set it up, and you do all of that, obviously wire all the camera up and make sure everything looks right, because that, as you said, is quite a high location. It's at the very top of my quarry. So one side there's just the sheer drop, which is why it's such a good position, because tawny owls like a really nice clear flight in.
So you weren't you got the box up, but you still weren't happy.
No. I do a lot of, I constantly try and improve what I've done, and once I put it up and I looked at it, and although there were quite a few branches and the tawnies first of all came in and perched nearby, they were reluctant to land straight that close to the box. They quite like to sit a little bit away and suss out the entrance. So on the ground I built another little platform with more branches, and I built everything on the ground, so I know that all I've got to do is go up, and just, it's going to be 4 screws and it's in place. So I added a little platform on the outside of that box, and soon as I put that on, the very next night she flew straight in and landed on the branches on the new platform, and I was like, yeah, I've got it right. So you have to sort of think like the animal that you're trying to attract, and if I was flying in to look at a new space, I wouldn't want to go straight in there, because I don't know, I don't even know if there's anything in there as well. So I'd want to be able to perch a little way away and like suss it out a bit. So, but every year I adapt the boxes based on the angle inside, whether the lighting was right, whether they destroy all those lovely things you put inside that made the box look really nice, which is what she did.
What happens.
She did in the box that the eggs were infertile. She literally picked off everything. So that box will come down in the summer, late summer probably. I'll get that box down, redo all the interior, and then put it back up.
And what's the kind of seasonality of it all? Because what I would recommend is that no one goes climbing trees in the middle of the summer, because you're going to disturb things. When's the best time to be like doing all of this stuff?
Well, tawny owls are really early nesters. I tend to do it right at the end of the summer into the autumn, so September time if possible, mainly because by November, even earlier sometimes, they start sussing out nesting spaces.
Really early.
And certainly our habitual pair, because they'll nest, they pretty much, if it's a successful nesting space, they will nest there every year, so they'll return each year. And at UView, where Artemis is, she usually pops back about the beginning of November, sometimes earlier, and just sits on the outside and just checks it's still there, because otherwise they need to have enough time to find somewhere else if their old nest site isn't there. So they do need to suss it out. Once she's sussed it out that it's still there, I might not see her for weeks, and then by mid-November she starts visiting more regularly, and usually by December she starts, or January, she starts roosting in there during the day. So almost to protect it. But we have to do a lot of work as well, because the worst thing about having an owl box is squirrels. Squirrels, stock doves, jackdaws, obviously find that an attractive space as well.
Keep them out. What's the
the secret is that wherever I put the box, I make sure I've got access. And certainly at UView, it's a very high box. But when we put it up, Dave, the guy who helped me put that box up and build it, he actually built me a platform underneath, because he knew jolly well I'd be up and down there. So he said, I'm going to build you a platform, Kate. But that platform has got a notch in it that we can put a ladder on, and we leave the ladder up there from about November. We leave the ladder there, and of course with the camera inside, I can see soon as the squirrel starts coming in, up the ladder, lid off, and soon as they start bringing stuff in, we take it out. And if you do that for about 3 days, they usually give up.
That's good.
But we often do that like 10, 11, 12 times before she takes over.
Is there anything you do to like keep it weather sealed or weathered proof? Because it's wet in Wales.
It is, yes. They need to be either made of marine ply, but even if it's made with marine ply, you still need to protect it. So I paint the outside of my boxes, and you need obviously an eco paint that once dry is not going to give off dangerous fumes, or if they nibble it. I've been using Protect Royal Exterior paint, because it comes in nice colours as well, so you can get it to blend in. And also a really good roof with a good overhang, and then every year I retreat those boxes and keep on top of the maintenance. So I do try to put them up in places that I know I'm going to be able to access the box and maintain it, basically, and keep it looking good, ready for the next season. So as soon as one season's over, you're already, even though it's just about a year in advance, I have to be working way ahead of time, so that by the time we reach, I would say, October by the latest, everything's in place, everything's ready to go. Nice.
Talking of nests, whilst we've been editing and prepping these sorts of things, we've spotted a little wren kind of building a little home just outside the window, which was very convenient for us. Which has been a joy to watch. And
it has.
It got us chatting. You set up a little camera. It's not live.
No, not yet.
We'll see how it goes. Wrens do this really interesting thing, and I made a little film just kind of introducing what it is that they do. I made this a while ago, so it's nice to share it again. Have a watch of this, and we will chat further after.
It's breeding season for the wren, and to make the most of his chances to win a female, he will build several nests. Once all nests are complete, it's time to show the ladies around. He will sing loudly to attract a potential mate. It seems he has this lady's attention. She will take a tour of his newly built properties to decide which one she might choose to lay her eggs in. Scouting out the property, and the neighbourhood. Perhaps this one isn't quite homely enough. Left to continue his property pitch, this male starts the sales saga again.
So yeah,
I love wrens.
they're so adorable. What were you saying earlier about they're the most?
Yeah, common British bird. You hear them a lot. They've got a really distinctive call. It's very, very loud for such a tiny bird, but there's a little trill right in the middle, which you'll hear when we look at some of my clips. And they often are in the undergrowth. And then every now and then they'll pop up and do this mega song for such a tiny little bird.
And they'll always do it when my camera's not quite framed up. and as soon as I switch over, there they go, off back into the undergrowth.
Yeah, but it's amazing that he builds all these nests and then brings the female around, and then she's like, nah, don't like that one. Or yeah, that's the one.
Something else,
A lot of investment. And they build them pretty quickly. They're backwards and forwards. We're watching this one just outside my window. If it looks like he's going to go for it, I'll set up a camera hopefully and be able to move it closer and closer.
We have to wait. There's no point in setting out now because she might choose somewhere else.
Exactly.
So I really like a little wren nest there.
Yeah.
There's been a few other kind of interesting nests. One of your wrens chose one of the most interesting nests.
Yeah, well, I sort of helped it along a bit because when I first moved in, I wasn't really using my garage port as a workshop like I do now. So I'd hung a fleece up on one of the uprights, and I went into the area, and I thought, what's all that moss on the floor? And I saw this moss like tucked in the armpit, and I thought, well, I knew straight away it was a wren because they love nesting in quirky places. So I thought, well, that's never going to work. And when I'd moved, I'd got a pair of really nice old walking boots that were too nice to throw away, but they were useless as walking boots because
I'm going to show people.
So this is what I did. I basically put that old walking boot and screwed it into the upright where I had hung my fleece. And look what happened. He carried on building until he'd filled that whole boot. So he filled it right from the bottom up to the top. And then he started to doing all this. So this is trying to attract his mate in. So he's fanning his tail, he's flicking his wings, and he's singing and singing to say, look, come and look at this one. This one's really special.
And it worked.
It worked.
There we go.
So you can see that I added a perch there. So before he finished the nest, I quickly screwed a perch in because I thought if he's going to nest there, I want them to land right outside because I'll get some great footage. So yes, the female came in. I knew she loved it because she starts bringing in all the soft stuff. So she lined the nest, laid her eggs.
Gone for some food.
And there we go. Successfully raised her family in my walking boots. How cool is that?
They're so cute.
They really, really are. Look at them. Whoa, that's when they just about fledged and they kept nearly falling out.
Well, I think we see a couple fledging at the moment, I think. Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Mum encouraging them out as well. She used to perch away from the boot with a mouthful of food, trying to convince them.
One's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sort of gradually, and then you can see there's another one.
Yeah.
And you can see they're young. They still have this little funny eyebrows of fluff and very bright coloured beaks. So you can see their beaks are much paler than the adult, and they're still all fluffy.
Mum's looking confused.
Yeah.
Where have they all gone?
Yeah, it's usually Dad who's confused, actually. Mum knows exactly where they are, and Dad keeps coming in with mouthfuls of stuff and nobody there, like, oh, everybody's gone.
There we go.
But so you don't have to spend a lot of money on a nest box.
No.
Because so don't throw
Get a
away those old boots. You can do it in wellies as well.
Yeah.
Just bear in mind that that was actually undercover. If you were going to put something like that out in the garden, just make a little roof basically to protect that entrance hole. They are vulnerable to predation, but to be honest, all wren nests are vulnerable to predation. But you could tuck it up inside ivy or inside a bush or in a crevice. And another species that loves quirky spaces like that are robins. Sometimes if you go to garden centres, you see a little sign and they've made a nest in one of the displays somewhere.
We've got some. What is going on here?
So this is a little ceramic ornamental teapot that I put in the ivy in my previous home. And in fact, it sat in that ivy for a couple of years. But then the robin came along and made this beautiful nest in the teapot and raised the most lovely little family. Look at them all tucked in there in the teapot. So the spout's literally just below that screen now. And it was such a lovely little nest. So think outside the box quite literally. And what you might have around that creates a lovely little space for something to nest in.
And if you ever wondered what a baby robin looks like, there you go.
Very, very sweet.
Oh, adorable. Quick hello to the Nuttall. Hello. And Game Camera Guy says your commitment is very inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, I do get a little single-minded when I set my mind on something, and I've got some other projects hopefully coming in the next year that once I finish one and it's all up and running, I'm like, what can I do next?
That's it. Well, so you have also got another little project that you've had kind of going on and off, and you've got a little group down the road from you. We haven't visited them this year, but you've got some mammal badgers kind of nearby, and in the past you've captured some incredible stuff. Before we go any further, if you're wondering what a badger looks like,
let's hope you're not.
Yeah. Here's a few shots of some curious garden badgers. Oh yeah. It's everyone's dream to have badgers in their garden. Oh, well, I say everyone, but I would love it. That would be
I have had them come. They are coming on my land, and sadly, many people, the only badger they've ever seen is one on the side of the road, dead.
Yeah.
So it's a real privilege to see them in the wild, but to know they're around is difficult unless you know the signs to look for, or if you've got a trail camera or something you can put out, then you can get an idea of if they're around. And certainly when I first moved here, the first thing I did was put a series of trail cameras out.
Such a handy thing to have, and we've seen signs kind of as we've been walking around, so we know a little route that they do, and I'd love to come back and
they're really habitual badgers, so they tend to have a set route, so you'll be able to see a track. They also, when they're rooting for food, they push their nose down in the ground and tip it over. And often, certainly on the lanes around here, the soft verges, you sometimes have a big long line of like upturned like nose holes, and it turned over, and you know they've been along there. They also can smell out bumblebee nests in the banks.
Oh wow.
And wasps actually, because those are all full of larvae, of course.
Yeah.
In those nests, which are a lovely snack. So if you find a big hole, and often all the rather angry leftover bees and wasps still buzzing around, then often a badger's done that. And then, of course, it's finding their home, which is the set. And if you know what you're looking for,
I mean,
it's
you
pretty
know when you
distinctive.
found it, don't you?
Yeah.
They're very
very big, curved,
like D shape on its side.
entrance hole, and often big areas of bald earth and piles of earth when they've been digging out. And then it's time to set the trail cam or hunker down and watch.
Give me a little intro on some of the footage we're about to see.
Right, so this project is quite a big project. As you've probably already gathered, I get pretty ambitious with my projects. And at my site where Artemis is, in New View, we decided, knowing badgers were on site, to build an artificial badger set, which is a big project. So I got somebody in to help me, Jason from Wildlife Windows. He came over to the site, and between us, with sleepers and big tubes, we built a badger set with 2 chambers. And it took us quite a lot of time. Preparation, then building it, and then I designed a system for cameras to be dropped into it. And with the dream that one day badgers might come in, and the ultimate dream, obviously, breeding that. It took 7 years, but we did it.
Nailed it. I mean, some of this footage hasn't really been shown in very many places, so we're very, very lucky to see this. So yeah, I will play this for you now. Enjoy this. Oh my word, baby badgers!
That's probably the best achievement I've had.
Oh yes.
And apparently, please correct me if I'm wrong, I've been told that it's the first time that a wild badger has been filmed giving birth. And I filmed her literally give birth. She was very well hidden in the straw, but we knew it was happening and you could hear it. And then I filmed the whole thing right up until those 2 cubs left. And you might have seen it on Springwatch. Springwatch featured it when it happened. But oh my God, and the noise they make.
I know, they're so vocal.
I had no idea that they're that noisy, and they do that all the time. And in fact, when you were outside the set, you could hear them. That little chattering, you could hear them outside. Sadly, they haven't been back, but the set's still there, the camera's still there.
So you're ready, you're waiting, poised.
Yeah. It'll happen again.
And is it all like wired-in cameras again? So same sort of setup as
exactly the same setup
underground.
And I devised like it's got like a big chimney that comes up, and then I devised a system where I could lower the camera down inside, because I needed to get that camera out, because you need to maintain the cameras. And what badgers do is they go around in the wet, muddy ground, they come into their chamber and the first thing they do,
shake it all off.
Shake it all off and then splatter it all up your camera. So, and it had 2 chambers. So when she went in one chamber, I'd pull the other camera up really quietly, gently, clean it all, put it back in. And then when she went in that one, I did it on the other one. So
we mentioned commitment earlier. That's, yeah.
Yeah. But God, worth it. But 7 years we waited for that to happen.
I mean, people say to me quite often, oh, you must have so much patience, like sitting and waiting for wildlife. But there's the other side of it, 7 years.
Yeah, but I didn't actually sit there waiting. And I think that's the joy of what I do. Okay, it's really intensive when I build and design and set up. But then the technology does the sitting around.
Yeah, true.
So you do the real sitting around waiting. I do the building, setting it up, and then I'm like multitasking because all my cameras are then doing the monitoring. Okay, I need to go on and look at them. And then I can move on to the next project and the next project and the next project.
All of the things going at once. Owls, badgers, we've got more.
Yeah.
We were gonna have a chat about camera traps, because part of like finding badgers, foxes, mammals, a lot of it kind of starts earlier on in the year, trying to find their tracks and figure out where they're going.
And also people want to do it in their own
gardens.
Like what is it that keeps, digging under our hedge or stealing things out of our shed,
leaving a bit of poo,
digging up my lawn.
Yeah, my mum got me to camera trap a hedgehog for a little bit because we had some rogue poo, so we solved that one pretty quickly.
Yeah, so if I just reach over here, so what is a camera trap? And or a trail camera, we often call them, and it's basically a piece of kit that enables you to monitor wildlife without all the cabling and technology and know-how of the kind of stuff I do that is sort of probably beyond what most people are willing to do in their gardens. So there's all sorts of trail cameras around, and I'm just going to show you my favourite at the moment because there's so many around, but it's tempting to just sort of go on and buy the cheapest one, and often not the best thing to do. So this little one is my favourite. One of the reasons it's my favourite, and there's lots of reasons, is on top here. You can see there's a solar panel. So this little solar panel means that I don't need to use batteries, and that
takes so many batteries.
Yeah, and I got fed up of I hate buying batteries and throwing them away. So then I tried rechargeables, but this is the best. So basically, a trail camera is a standalone unit, and this standalone unit, if I open it up for you, it does take some batteries. So if you want to put batteries in as a backup, you can. And then under here, there's a little slot for an SD camera. So when you first get it, you just plug it into the mains, it charges up the unit, and then the solar panel keeps it going. And you can put some, like I said, put batteries in if you want. I never have on this one. And then you put it out. This one's comes with a strap, but you can buy little, if you wanted to just mount it on the floor, you could get like a little tripod to go for it.
I mean, I noticed that tripod's quite pointy as well, so you could probably just dig it into the mud.
You can. Or you can, it's got a mount on the back, so if you've got your own tripod, or you can get little sticks with the tripod mount on, then you can put that outside wherever you want. And this one I like because it's got a close focus of about 80 centimetres. You can put it away. And then it's got passive infrared sensors. So whenever wildlife passes by, then it will trigger the camera, and you can tell the camera whether you want it to video when it triggers or take a photo. I always put it on video. This is 4K, this one. So I set it for 30-second video. Every time something passes, it will take a video. If it's in daylight, it will take it in full colour. If it's at night time, it will be a black and white image. And it doesn't have like a bright white light at night. What it does is have a very dull red glow. So the animals can see it, but they very quickly get used to it. So this is called the Helarctos, and it's by NatureSpy, and it's my most favourite of cameras. And I think we're going to show some of the things
that's a bit more
that I've captured with it, so you can get an idea of what the quality from this little unit's like. It's fab.
There you go.
So you can see the quality.
Yeah.
But not only is it fabulous for that, but it's also great because it links to your phone. So whereas I can't see it live as such, if I want to look at the footage or see what it's looking at when I set it up, it connects to your phone. So you have a little app and you connect to the camera so you can see what it's looking at. So if you want to get your setup just right, pointing at the hole, because it's quite hard to tell normally.
But it's also really good for, you know, if you don't want to disturb the thing that you're trying to look at, you can just check it without going down, making a load of noise.
Yeah, and taking the
battery
SD card out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as you're about 8 meters away, up to 8 meters away, you can connect to the camera. So if it was at a sensitive, you know, like a den or a set, you can go and hide out the way, log onto the camera. It will bring up all the clips.
Stick yourself in a bush,
yeah,
get on your phone.
Yeah, that's right. Scroll through, and you can even upload the clips off of there onto your phone. But the best thing about the remote thing is, you might have seen there was Nest Box. So if you just put up a Nest Box, or you've got a Nest Box without a camera inside and you'd like to know if anything's using it, before the season starts, screw a long arm on, but you can put it on. Some people, and also I've done it on like a pivot so that I can pull it down, you know, down comes the trail cam, and then I can put it back up without disturbing the box. But once it's up there and ready, then and working, then you haven't got to climb the tree. You can just stand at the bottom and check and see if anything's happening in there without disturbing it and without removing the SD card. And as long as it's got a good light source, it hasn't got to be sunny. I've had mine generally last, depending on the activity at night. If it's watching a badger set and there's loads and loads of activity and it's pulling all that energy, then it might not have enough sun during the day to recharge it. But usually I can leave them a good month, even in like at the set that I've got it on at the moment, and it's quite overhung with branches and leaves. But if it's in a fairly open site, which often it is on a Nest Box, it will last all season.
Yeah,
absolutely cracking bit.
Perfect. And if you're at home and you want to sit in your living room and watch wildlife,
yeah, there's another these cameras are produced by a company called NatureSpy, and we're putting the link in
it's in the description
underneath.
Yeah,
and also if you go on my website, there's also a section called use and review. So any kit that I like and I use, I do a little video showing you what it's like, what you can do with it. And then also on there's a link on a shop and support. So I fund all these projects myself. But if you like the kit that I've reviewed and you click on that link, you don't pay any extra, but I get a small percentage, and that all goes back into my project, because you can imagine they're quite expensive.
Okay, yeah.
But there's another little one, and this is called the Wild Cam 2. And this is a bit like a trail cam, but you can actually watch it live, but only if you've got Wi-Fi in your garden. So this little camera runs on a Wi-Fi signal. So if it can pick up the your Wi-Fi in your garden, and you can extend your Wi-Fi in your garden by adding a little wireless access point. So if you Google that and have a look, it basically plugs into your router. You run a cable outside, maybe to your shed or something like that, and then you can put this little unit and it pushes the Wi-Fi out. Then you could set this little camera up, and it works just like the trail cam. So whenever it detects something moving around, it will video it, but you can log on and watch it live on the app. And this one actually has little white LEDs, so you can actually turn a little light on, and things like hedgehogs aren't fussed at all.
Yeah.
So if you've got a hedgehog box or a little hedgehog feeding station, you can watch your hedgehogs and you can lift the clips as well. So so this is a really good way that if you're interested in sort of getting into this and you haven't really done it before and you don't want to spend a huge amount of money, then you know, these are under £150 each, these, and once you've got them, then you can do all sorts, and then you can start getting creative, and then that's when you start to get addicted.
So you end up climbing
you spend
a
more
tree
than
above
that
a quarry and building a badger's den set.
So it does get, I have got a little
one question I always get as a camerawoman is I've got a GoPro, can I just set that up and just leave it going? This is a GoPro, the little action camera, and the answer is you can, but it's not as easy as most people would assume. Like, people know these cameras as kind of action cams. You can strap, just switch it on, let it go, let it do its thing, which is like a really cool, handy thing. But having that time lapse where it only works when something's moving in front of it is a whole other level. So
of course you could just set it up and let it run it and then watch the whole 2 hours, however long it will video for a couple of hours.
However long your card is and however long your battery will last. You can even power it and just keep that switched on and have it running non-stop. But if you want it to trigger, then it's a little bit more tricky. So there is something that you can do. GoPro created something called GoPro Labs, and they can give you some codes. You can look on their website. They'll give you some code to put into your GoPro, but it only works on the newer models. This is a 9, and I think I'm really pushing it with this one. I think they're on 13 now. But you add the code into your GoPro, and it then gives you an app which generates QR codes, and you can create motion sensitivity and dial in some very, very kind of unique settings just make
it into a trail cam of some sort.
But it's not necessarily an IR. It might not do nighttime because it hasn't got all that IR facility. So I say might not. It will not.
No.
And it's also really hard to get that code off. So if you wanted to sell the camera, the GoPro,
or use it back in its normal
state, then it's not as easy.
So it might, if you want to do that, it might be worth just buying the unit that does it.
Just get a camera
trap.
Do it properly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people ask me that, and the answer is yes, but no, but yes.
But you can buy little close-up lenses, can't you?
You can, yeah. So you'll get little.
Or you can buy the little screw-on magnified lenses that you can buy to screw on the front of a camera and change the focal length. But again, it won't trigger with movement. It just film constantly. So you can film with them, of course.
Yeah, well, GoPro just announced, I don't know the details of it, but they've just announced some GoPros with interchangeable lenses literally in the last week or two. I do not know.
I think they're probably more than a trail cam though, aren't they?
Yeah. You also, if that goes missing, you'll be a bit gutted with the newer versions. So I hope that kind of
some options. But of course phones as well, and they're fab, especially trail cams. They're a fab way of getting kids involved because they love the technology and it's so accessible. I mean, I've used them from even with infant kids, so kids 6 and 7. Once they learn how to set it, it's so exciting. So they know that they've got to do. They know what we're looking for. We're looking for tracks and trails. Maybe we set up a little feeding station, and then we go and set the camera in the morning at school. And then the following day we can go and get it, load it get the card out and load it into the computer. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. And when I was teaching in Nuneaton, we built a big feeding platform because we'd seen buzzards around. And we started baiting this platform, and buzzards came down, and we got the most amazing trail cam footage of buzzards in our school grounds. The kids were so excited. So, it's another really good way of using the technology that they love, but using it to capture wildlife.
Deb Charles says camera traps are a great idea. So that would be in reference to our earlier chat. So magical toys to play with. They're really useful to kind of get started in wildlife and just learn and figure things out. And
to realise what's in your garden. I always talk about them and rave about them because I use them so much. And I often use them before I install a wired camera, because obviously putting in a wired camera, not only the cost of buying the cameras, because I use CCTV type cameras and some of them are quite expensive, but also I don't want to invest all that time of running cables all over the place and burying them and creating channels until I know that it's going to be worth it for me. So I use trail cams to suss out areas. And also with things like badger sets, you can set the trail cam quite far back, first of all, monitor the whole area, and then see which holes are the really busy ones, and then move your trail cam that bit closer. Just be aware, badgers love trail cameras, and badgers have really muddy noses. So you go back to your trail cam, and all your best footage is being filmed through this sort of film of badger snot and mud. They often come right up to your camera, and if you go on my website, you'll see all sorts of trail cam footage that I capture from there.
Alternatively, you can hire someone like me to live stream from your personal hide.
Yes, of course. Yes, even better.
You've got another little box that we haven't really kind of touched on. It's empty at the moment.
Yeah, is there nobody in there?
Oh, we've got. So hang on, let me just flip it
that would be really interesting to come into that upside down.
on my roof.
So, this is another extension, really, of the nest box idea, and in fact, it came to me when I had one of the first nest boxes I had, which was actually given to me by my dad on my 40th birthday, which was 18 years ago. And basically filmed in the nest box and then thought, what a waste, because that camera's sitting in there now all through the summer, autumn, winter. So 3/4 of the year, it didn't do anything. So I took the camera out and thought, what could I do with it? And I actually had an old wicker basket, and I upturned the wicker basket, put it on an old paving slab, and screwed the and cable tied the camera inside this wicker basket and put some food in there, and then started filming mice. And then of course that started an idea of, oh, I could make a mammal box. And then I've done all sorts of mammal boxes over the years, but this one is in fact, it's an old hedgehog box that I adapted. And then you can see there's basically seed and nuts in there and 2 little tiny entrances, and then I dress the area just like I do with my nest boxes, so I can put anything I like in there, and I do all sort of weird and wonderful things.
We had some visitors today. I don't think you've checked, but I had a quick look.
Right.
So we had these little guys today.
Have a look. Oh, there we go. So there's...
Oh, not too happy.
No, they don't like sharing, really. So we've got 2 wood mice here. And what's amazing is how different wood mice look. When you get 2 together, their colour varies a lot, from almost like a silvery grey through to a real russet colour. But yeah, in and out. And the lights are on 24/7 in that, and they're not fussed at all. So whenever you log in, and this live stream's on my website as well. So we get wood mice, mainly wood mice and bank voles. Sometimes a shrew if you're really lucky. But yeah, wood mice and bank voles mainly.
You had one doing a really interesting behaviour.
Yeah.
This is sped up. It was about 6 minutes long, so I've just sped it up a little bit. Well, a lot. Whoa.
Well, that's a speedy mouse. So what the mice do is particularly as we get through to autumn and winter, obviously they love stashing food. So they make winter stores. So if they find a good store or they find more nuts than they can eat, they go and hide them. So when they find this amazing sort of array of food, they're like, right, I don't want to share that with anyone. And what you can see is he's totally wrecking my lovely arranged moss.
Ripping it apart, yeah.
He's ripping it apart, and what he's doing is basically covering that food. And not only do they cover all the food to try and hide it from others, they quite often use the moss and everything else I've decorated the box with to block off one of the 2 entrances so that nobody else can get in. So you can see he's pulling off all the nice stuff I put in there, all my hard work, and until he's completely covered all
kind of like
food.
Hashing like squirrels do, but in reverse.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's basically not wanting to share that with anyone, and he thinks if he covers it with moss, nobody will realise that there's a lovely big pile of food under there.
Oh.
But you get to film all that kind of sort of amazing behaviour.
Yeah.
And one year, many years ago, one of my very early boxes, I had a very fat vole come in, and
did you get through the hole?
Yeah, you've heard of seen Winnie the Pooh?
Oh no!
So it ate and ate and ate, filled itself up.
I wish we had that footage.
Went to get, I've only just remembered it now, we've been talking about it. Went to get out, squeezed and squeezed, couldn't get out. Went in a corner, gave birth.
Oh no! Well, that's one way to solve it.
Yeah, that's one way to get slim really quickly. Actually gave birth in the box to about 6 little tiny pink jelly bean.
I wish we had the footage for that.
Yeah, I don't even know if I still got it. We're talking well over a decade ago. And it certainly wasn't as good footage as I get now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, obviously when I realised the box wasn't set up for a nest.
Yeah.
But then, of course, she was quite a lot slimmer by then. She then, one at a time, took those babies out and obviously took them back to her nest.
Yeah. She
How amazing is that?
It then.
Yeah, yeah, she was ready to go somewhere else and just...
Oh, if only she hadn't popped out from lunch.
Exactly. But yeah, quite common. And I have had wood mice eat so much that for a while. They're just there with their bottoms. And in fact, once I had to open the box with the mouse's head out on one side and its bottom with its legs out on this side and give it a little to get it out.
Adorable. I want that kind of fun. I'm getting a mammal box. That's it.
It's dead easy to make.
Yeah.
Just any old box with the cameras in. And that was using the Nest. So you could use if you've got a box with a Nest box with a camera in that has a removable camera, some of them are integral, then you could take it out, repurpose. So as long as you make your mammal box a similar size to your Nest box, because it's pre-focused on where the nest would build, you can basically have a container that you can make up. And a little hint here, if you do want to make a mammal box and you don't want anything else to get in, some of the stores like B&Q sell mouse entrances. Did you know that?
Oh, right. B&Q this weekend.
Sadly, they're not advertised as mouse entrances.
They're holes.
They're advertised as a wardrobe fitting. So if you go into, and I just saw these.
I thought they'd be advertised as O's or something.
They were, I was looking in that department, which I quite frequently do. I saw them, I thought, oh my goodness, they'd be perfect. So basically, if you're making a wardrobe and you want to do a hanging rail, there's an attachment you put at either side, which basically is a bracket with a little hole in, and that you push your wardrobe hanging rail into.
It's perfect size.
Well, it's metal and it's 19 mil, which is quite tiny, just under 2 centimeters, but that hole is big enough for not a very fat mouse, but wood mice, bank voles and shrews can all fit through that. And because it's metal, the rats can't get through it because it's too small, and they can't chew through it. So look out for wardrobe fittings. That's the secret of the trade there.
We're off to buy wardrobe fittings and build a rodent box, a mammal box.
Yeah.
For my garden. That's it.
Helpful hints from Wildlife Kate.
Amazing. I've been out today trying something that we were going to try yesterday, but it rained. So I took the probe lens and set it up to try and get some birds close and wide. If you're a camera person, you notice a lot of things at close and wide all the time, especially in advertising. So I thought I'd try and do a bit of that with birds on some food. You can see now how it all went.
So I've had this cheeky little setup going to try and get some close-ups of the birds feeding. So, little probe lens. Just got it quite close to the feeder. That's my view. And then I've got a remote focus wheel there, so that I can focus in, and I dial in on my phone and use my remote thing while I'm sat down there watching. I've got some good birds on this one.
Wow.
That was
I
so
love
much
that.
fun.
I absolutely love that. And the trouble is now Natalie's been here, it's like set my creative mind, you know, thinking,
And that was a team effort. That wasn't
Yeah.
me.
It was a bit of a team effort.
Yeah.
Well, once I saw what you could do, it started to make me think. So I was like up the garden, whamming
Yeah. Well, I was very much like,
Sticking.
because those rolls of kind of
yeah.
bait were just they hang and they swing a lot, which wasn't really going to work for me. So I was like, I need something steady to be able to get it to work.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I can do that. So I basically made a hole, put a stick in, one of my hazel sticks, and then tied it on so it was static. The good thing about that and what you needed was a relatively small area where we knew exactly where the birds were going to go, because with that lens, you've only got a tiny space where they're in focus. So it needed to be still and it needed to be very defined area, which was perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we set it all up, and we were hoping for the woodpecker.
That was the dream. And
but
woodpeckers are flighty. They are so suspicious of everything all the time.
Yeah, blue tits and great tits, they're quite bold birds, so they were not that fussed, and they're used to me changing systems around. But the woodpecker wasn't quite sure about the camera and the tripod. And
well, while I was watching, the woodpecker landed on every other feeder, and then the second it landed further down on that feeder, my connection to the camera got lost. I couldn't hit record, but it didn't show up anyway. It kind of changed its mind.
I think if we'd left it a bit longer, it would have taken it. But then, of course, the rats discovered it, and then they were up the pipe. So then I had to make like a ring,
rat defense,
cardboard rat defense, just for long enough to keep them off of it for Natalie to try and film. But I love that, and the slow motion element.
Just adding that in,
because one thing I haven't really done is spend as much time as I'd like with my camera. I mean, I can't
hide now.
Yeah,
so you've got no excuse.
and I tend to just take stills, and really I should explore a bit more with the video. So you've sort of inspired me to maybe get filming a bit more with my camera, trying out different
more
things.
footage.
As if I haven't got enough to do. But you know, I've built this hide now, and really it'll be the winter months that I'll be looking to do some more photography.
Yeah.
And because obviously feeding's sort of down now, I won't attract them in quite so much. But in the winter, hopefully I'll be able to create some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then be able to try filming and improving that side of my
completely,
because I've never really done that, and you've got me all excited about doing it now.
We're chatting ideas, and now you've got my dimensions of cameras, and you know what size. So if anyone else has any suggestions of what to do with probey lenses or long lenses and things, feel free, because we're already brainstorming.
Yeah, we you know, the more we've spent the last few days together and sort of got to know each other, possibly, well, definitely a lot better than we knew each other before, and we actually work really well together. I think we're similarly driven by what we do.
We've got the same technical brains in our own
and we're pretty organised as well. So I think we might be combining our skills in different ways in the future, we hope.
I've also had access to a really, really long lens, which is a hire for a project I can't really talk about, but
top secret.
But it did allow me to get the woodpecker, and it did allow me to get it from a slightly different perspective, which was what I was looking for. So I was really pleased with that. So here is some long lens really close up. I wanted to get all the details in the feathers and all the
they are beautiful.
Really have a good look at it. So have a look at this.
a lot. I do get green woodpecker. Oh,
sorry, live Artemis.
live Artemis up the right way.
We got live Artemis.
Oh, we nearly did the whole thing without forgetting to.
I know, almost. I'm terrible at it.
Never mind. We need more practice.
Yeah. But yeah, woodpecker.
Yeah, lovely, great spotted woodpecker. That was the female. No red on the back of the head, but the male has red. And I do get green woodpeckers here. They don't come on the feeders though. They love I've got a couple of ant hills, and they love eating the ants, and they're beautiful. They're the one that have quite a laugh type call that you hear. And the other one that much rarer is the lesser spotted woodpecker. I've never seen one of those.
I've seen one on the outskirts of Cardiff in the wood, tiny.
Yeah, they're like sparrow size, aren't they?
Yeah, and it was very, very, very faint that I picked up on, because people always assume it's like drumming sort of noise. But those ones,
apparently it's higher frequency than the great spotted, because obviously they're little, so they drum a little bit faster and a bit higher in tone.
Yeah,
but I've never seen one.
Oh yeah, no, I got some very blurry footage, but I got footage.
You saw it. You saw it. So that's amazing, and it's so lovely to see them up close, aren't they? And that black and white with that flash of red underneath. They're really, really beautiful. And if you ever find their feathers, I've got quite a few great spotted woodpecker feathers, those wing and tail feathers, black with like little white patches all the way down. They're really beautiful. Yeah, really beautiful.
I think Artemis has gone for where's he gone?
We've got a live stream up in here as well. He's just tucked behind Talico there, the female.
Oh,
yeah, you can't quite see him. He's in the shade. So in that box, rather than those little strip lights, I've actually got, it's like a little square light box almost with a couple of strips inside. It's one of the first ones I've used. That box is pretty old now, but it's such a major thing to take it down and redo it that it sort of works, and I've sort of left it, but I might have a play around with it.
Oh, is he moving? He's stick your head out, Artemis. Say hi.
He's in the shade of his mum there, isn't he?
She's blocking the sun.
Yeah. She'll go out fairly soon. As soon as the light fades right down, she'll be out. She leaves him now and goes hunting. So if you log onto my cameras once we've finished, you'll be able to see him just sitting there waiting, basically, for supper to come in. So
now another rat.
Yeah, now he's a couple of weeks old. She's happy to go out hunting as well. So she'll be hunting for both herself and for Artemis as well. And if she brings something back like a wood mouse or a vole, he's at the stage now where he can swallow that.
He can
whole, which is quite something to see, because it looks almost as big as them, but they can really expand their throats, and then they swallow that down, and then their stomach juices are really strong, and it basically dissolves, and they take out all the goodness, all the flesh and everything, and then what's left, which is the fur and the bones, all get ground down really tight, and then owls eject those as a pellet, and they're the best thing ever to find, because
they're amazing.
It's not owl poo, it's more owl vomit, really. They're regurgitated, but that pellet is basically a little time capsule that tells you exactly what those owls have eaten in the last 24 hours.
So if you go out with those little clear sandwich bags, if you find one, pick it up inside out, turn it round so you don't have to touch it, and then squish it.
I just pick it up.
You don't need to touch it. Oh no. Your fingers are dirty.
That's fine. And then you can dissect that if you just put a little bit of hot water on, or you don't even need to do that, to be honest. You can just pull it apart, and then you'll find the skulls, because they eat them whole, the skulls will be virtually intact.
Yeah.
It's the best activity my most favourite activity at school was dissecting usually barn owl pellets. If you find someone who's got a barn owl box, they eject the pellets, and actually they use those pellets to make a substrate on which they raise their young. So their young are raised on like a graveyard of all the things that the owls have eaten in the past, which doesn't sound too pleasant. And they also, owls often have a favourite perch, and then you can find those. So if you've got barn owls in a barn, if you're lucky enough to have them, you'll often find the pellets on the floor. So anybody I know, I'm always like, keep the pellets for you, keep the pellets.
Yeah, I'll have them. I'll have the poo.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
poo.
And also it gives you a really good idea as well about the species you've got on your land.
Yeah.
So and
Without having to set up mammal boxes or camera traps, just go around and get pellets.
Yeah.
You can
Exactly.
figure it out.
And of course, the more you find it, they tend to eject them every day. And I think the most I've ever found has been 6 skulls.
Yeah.
Well, to catch and eat that many in one day really is a good indication of the habitat. So working with kids as well, it really helps them understand how, you know, looking at something like that helps them see the owl in the bigger picture of the whole environment.
Yeah.
And that how important it is that they have access to all of that.
All of the things.
And sometimes you can find rat skulls, bat skulls, bird skulls, all sorts of things in there.
I mean, so many creatures that people don't like. People don't like having rats around, and you know, there's something about their tail that's for quite a lot of people, but they're vital to help animals like the tawny.
Well, certainly at Artemis, that site there, last few years, the families have been raised almost exclusively on rats. And then you realise the dangers as well. Once you put poisons out, you think you're putting a poison out for a rat, but it will kill any of your mice and rodents. And of course, if your owl is then catching and eating that, they're also ingesting that poison. So it's thinking about the big picture all the time, whatever you do. And it's like the pesticides you buy to spray on to kill greenfly will also kill a load of other insects. And then all the birds that were relying on those insects now don't have those. And then that has a knock-on effect all up the food chain.
That's it. So we really have to be mindful of what we're
I don't put any chemicals on here at all. None at all.
No.
Just let nature
do its thing. Yeah. The tawnies will eat the rats. The slugs will eat the
slugs will eat my hostas.
Yeah.
And my cabbages and my lettuce. Never mind.
I tried to show you some goose last night, and my goose failed. So I thought I'd just try it today. It's another one of these little kind of videos I've been doing, capturing details of animals, and this Canada goose came and started cleaning itself right next to me whilst I was filming the other day. So yeah, take a moment, grab a cup of tea, or just have a breath of fresh air and enjoy the goose. Do you feel relaxed?
I do. And you I mean, Canada geese are quite, they're something
loud
that,
and honky.
Yeah, and that you see quite a lot, but sometimes you don't pick up the intricacies of their plumage like that. The lovely pale edge on all those feathers. It's really nice to see them up close.
Yeah, I love kind of capturing the textures of feathers on different birds, and the beaks look like kind of leathery sort of sculptures, and sometimes you can see right through their noses, which is really their noses, their beaks, which is which is really, really cool. So so whenever I manage to have a chance to film that close to something,
the joys of a long lens, eh?
Yeah, I love it.
You can just see a few siskins around in my garden, and robins, and they're enjoying the light. I bought some live mealworms. The robin is, can you get him? There he is. The robin
black.
absolutely loving those live mealworms, and the blackbirds are actually. So if they're feeding young, the live ones, little cold tit coming in.
Oh, I've missed him.
He's
I've missed him. I've missed
The
him.
robin's down for the mealworms. So I've got a nice little house type feeder there with a base that comes out for easy cleaning. So I just put a smattering of live mealworms there every now and then, so they can come in and just supplement and give them a bit of a hand on their family raising duties. And talking of which, family raising duties.
We have, I mean, there's so much more on this site which we've seen on the other nights, but let's have a look live now. Look at that.
So that's lovely great tit with her family she's raising in this nest box.
A good clean out.
Yeah, so these are just over a week old now, doing really well. Their parents are in and out with absolutely loads of food. And the chicks are growing fast. Lovely nest. You can see surrounded with sheep's wool that they collected at the end. So it's mainly moss to start with, and then they collect loads of all different kinds of soft materials.
Is there anything we can put out to help them?
You can. I mean, if you're in a sort of rural area and you can pluck sheep's wool off of the fences, I would say please keep it to natural things.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, well, we could put maybe the lint out of our tumble dryer.
So synthetic, isn't it?
Yeah, and also the chemicals we use for cleaning, like the softeners and that, aren't good. So don't do that. You can put your pet hair out, but only if you haven't used any flea treatment on them. So there's been some really interesting studies about the amount of chemicals that are on have been found in songbirds' nests, both in their eggs and in the birds themselves. So when they did DNA studies of the feathers, frightening amounts of chemicals picked up, mainly from flea treatments from our pets. So.
And we dose our pets up a lot because they get resistance treatments, and then we
and also people dose them constantly when they don't need to be dosed constantly. So you buy a subscription and you're giving them that all the time. And then of course, if they swim in watercourses, then you're passing those chemicals in there.
Look at the off in here, isn't it?
Look at those gapes.
Going nuts.
So those beaks and that bright yellow is exactly and look at the red inside, the orangey interior, and the yellow round the edge. That's to really stimulate the adult to feed them. Loads of caterpillars coming in here, absolutely loads of caterpillars. And how's the blue tits?
Let's have a look. We're going to scroll through. We might get some empty boxes along the way. Oh no, there we go.
Right, this is the blue tits, but the blue tits have the edge, and they did it every year as well. The nest is so soft around the top edge. As the chicks get bigger, they sort of sink into it, and then the parents sort of land on this soft area and then end up sort of encapsulated.
It's like having one of those like super soft mattresses.
Yeah. So they're almost disappearing under there. And it was the same last year. And then gradually the chicks, by the time they're sort of encapsulated, the chicks are big enough to like clamber back out then, and then it's all right.
Yeah. Oh, hang on.
So are you going to be able to get it?
No. We almost had some woodpecker.
There was a woodpecker landed.
He keeps evading me, that one.
Yeah, we've got lights on in here tonight.
So you can see when I'm
you can actually see us, so they can see us too. And we're actually filming through the window because obviously we're talking. But my plan is with the hide, I've also got some drapes that eventually we will we'll put the drapes on so that we can poke our camera out without disturbing them. But at the moment we've got the windows closed, but they can see us. But the woodpecker's way more nervous,
way more flighty. And then our last resident, who still hasn't hatched.
No, this is my rainbow nest. So this great tit has built this nest, and it's got all this different coloured.
Where does it come from?
All this different coloured fluff in, which is really nice. I think sometimes they take the fluff off of tennis balls, because I've certainly seen them take it off.
Playing a lot of tennis.
So, but a very bright orange one, and there's also some yellow in there, and there's also some purple in there. So at one point it was a real rainbow nest. They're really pretty. So her eggs are due to hatch in the next week, I think. So this is a great tit sitting on here, and this is in like a log. It's a hollowed out birch log that I adapted to make it into to fit the camera in and basically and the lights. It was one of the hardest boxes I've done to film, but I really like the design. So it's often much easier if I bespoke make the box from the beginning, because then I can basically make it into exactly what I need. But occasionally I see one for sale that I think, oh, I'd really struggle to do that. So then I think, well, can I adapt it? So that I do that sometimes, is buy a commercially made box and then adapt it for my needs.
Well, she's adapted it even further.
Yeah, she looks very cozy in there. It's a nice little box set. It's beautiful.
So we played this on the first night, but it's a summary of kind of where we are at the moment and a little bit more about this place. So yeah, this is, I mean, I've been calling this Kate's place. So you can have a look around and see kind of
a bit more of my land and
what's
how
here.
wonderful it is.
And yeah,
Enjoy.
check this out.
Hi, I'm Kate McRae, more commonly known now as Wildlife Kate, and we are here in my beautiful garden in southwest Wales. And I will have been here 3 years in September, so moved in September 23 and basically bought the property of my dreams. So this is the house and 3 acres of the most beautiful land, which I'm going to take you around and show you. So come and have a look. So we've moved to my little meadow area. Now this is at the top of my land, and as you can see it's very open and sunny site, perfect for a meadow. So when I moved here there was a sort of meadow here, but I've been developing it over the last few years, and a good meadow takes a lot of work. So I'm cutting it just once a year at the end of the season, removing all the dead material, and then I've been collecting seed from the adjoining meadows on my property and basically trying to propagate this area to get rid of the grass. And one of the key things to stop the grass is a plant called a yellow rattle. And I worked hard to seed this area this year, and I'm delighted to see it coming up. And what yellow rattle does is that it parasitizes onto the roots of the grass, so it keeps the grass down, which gives the wildflowers more of a chance to come through. So it's a really exciting time of the year to see this all starting to come up, and it's going to be cracking this year. So now we're in what I've called my hide studio, and I'm so proud of this. This is probably one of the biggest projects I've done here. So you wouldn't believe it, but this was pretty derelict and a bit of an eyesore when I first moved in. And this wall wasn't here, and in the space you can see beyond me was a derelict static caravan that had been there over 25 years. And over the space of about 4 weeks, I single-handedly dismantled that caravan, and it was a lot of work. And with a friend, built this wall here, and the windows you can see here are all out of the caravan, so I recycled as much as I could, with the view that this would be a lovely place for a hide. And then the idea grew and grew, and before I knew it, I created this pretty special space. Not many people can say they've actually got a quarry on their land, and this is a pretty special space because it's almost like its own micro-habitat. So the whole area was limestone quarrying at one point, and this area was quarried. So I've got this beautiful space, and when I first moved in, it was completely overgrown down here and very, very wet and marshy in the middle sections. So I knew water gathered here. So when I built the second pond in the garden, I also dug out to create a pool here. And this is what we call an ephemeral pool, which means it's a naturally filled space. So during the winter or when it rains a lot, which it does in Wales generally, the pool fills up, and then during the summer months it will dry out. So it's dried out at the moment because we haven't had any rain for a few weeks. but as soon as it starts raining, it will fill straight back up. And during some of the storms as well, I lost some of the big trees which were on the far bank. And whereas I was pretty upset about losing them, what it's done is open this area up even more. So suddenly I've got an area with lots of light flooding in, I've got water and real fantastic ingredients to basically attract even more wildlife onto my site. Right, we're now here at one of 3 ponds I've got on site, and I was lucky enough to have this one here already when I moved in, but it was much more ornamental, so more rectangular with raised areas all the way around. So I removed 3 of the side walls and pulled the liner back and then created this much more naturalised area, which is fantastic for birds. Drinking and bathing, and also get a lot of frogs, tadpoles in the spring, and then damselflies and dragonflies in the summer. So it's a fab little pond, and if you do anything for wildlife in your garden, build yourself a pond. Now that pond is quite small, so I wanted to build something bigger, and this area seemed perfect. So this was just a sort of scrubby area with creeping comfrey and not a lot else. So I felt it was a perfect area. So hired a digger for 2 days with a friend, and this was one of the 2 extra ponds we built. Now, because I'm in a quarry area, very quickly we hit the rock bed. So what we did was we used all the fill from digging out to build this bank, and this bank is entirely planted up with plants that are already on site, so very naturalistic planting around. And it also means that if I'm filming or photographing, I can sit down low and look into it, and it's been an absolute godsend. Also, when we have heavy rain, which is quite a lot in Wales, it runs off of the field adjacent through down into this pond, and then I built this area so when the pond gets to a certain level it will overflow and then flows through the garden and out. But it's been an absolutely wonderful addition, and to me you can't have too many ponds in your garden. So welcome to headquarters. So not only have I got a beautiful site, but the whole place is wired with cameras. So at the moment I've got about 25 cameras installed, and those cameras are all cabled to a variety of network switches which are all over the land, and then they all centrally come back to this Hikvision NVR. So that is a network video recorder. So that network video recorder is basically recording everything that's happening at all my cameras. So not only can I watch them all the time, I can move all the cameras from here or from the app, and I can lift footage from them all. So there's increasing numbers of cameras monitoring so many different parts of my land.
There we go. So that is kind of where we are. As you can see, there's so much more to explore. We've mostly been in this hide though because we got hit by rain at basically 6 p.m. every night.
Yeah, it literally hasn't rained for 2 weeks, and then Natalie turned up and it rained like torrential at times.
Yeah.
But I must have to say a big thanks to Natalie, because the little videos you've done, oh my God, I'm so pleased with them, and I'm really lucky because I'm going to be able to share those on my website as well. So it's been so wonderful to have someone to be able to put everything I do into one video in a way that I could never have done it. So it's been amazing to work with you, and it's been really lovely to see you creating it as well and having that vision and being able to see how you work. And I'm thrilled with them.
Well, hopefully we'll be back, not tomorrow night, but
no, we've done 3 nights now.
Yeah, so we'll have a chat about doing some more and try and explore some other locations within the location, within the property. I'd love to get down that quarry and a bit more.
And also my next big project, we were talking that maybe Natalie will come and do some filming of it right from conception to when I do the like sketches to building, and then hopefully to what we film. Go slowly. There's a lovely woodpecker here. Can you? Oh, he's here.
Damn it.
So fast.
Got him.
Got him. Yay.
Like,
Just in
at
time.
least he was on the line.
Yeah. Yeah. We got him.
Got something.
Or her, was it? I didn't notice.
I did not notice. Got some woodpecker.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah, we
on my
wanted to do
camera.
that. But I mean, the intricacies of what you're seeing going out here, I mean, I've learned so much from like little VTs we've got in the background to, stills, to being able to pick up my live cameras.
And just the flow of the day as well, just
Yeah.
making sure that we have everything ready for the evening.
There's a huge amount of work that Natalie's put in to get it to this stage, to have everything ready and all these little films to show you. So it's been great to be part of that and to see the work involved. Like she's been able to showcase some of what goes on behind the scenes. I've been able to see that as well, which has been fabulous for me.
Yeah. Where can people find you online?
Right. Okay. So you got it this time.
I'm ready. Yeah.
There we go. So my website is wildlifekate.co.uk. So that really has all my details and my email. I'm most active on Instagram, where I'm at the Wildlife Kate. So come and follow me along there. I drop in all sorts of clips on there. And if you have any ideas about, stuff me and Natalie could do in the future, then just drop me an email. Because it would be lovely to know if people would like to see us work together a bit more in the future. Because I'm hoping that this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And that we'll do some other cool stuff in the future.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Yeah. Follow Kate. Check out her stuff. And hopefully this time next year, baby owls.
Yeah.
We want some tawny.
We will. We'll have them.
Cool. So I'm going to play us out with a little montage, the one that we started on, which is just a summary of what we've been up to.
And we've had fun, haven't we?
Yeah.
I've really, really, really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. And you, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Please do like and subscribe and all of those things to both of us. And
does help.
That's the best way of kind of seeing
and supporting
us in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And supporting us. Lovely. I'm just trying to find that film. Here we are. Okay, lovely. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
See you again soon.